Okay, I believe we are recording now. Welcome everybody to our webinar for today. This is one of my favorite topics, one that we take care of on a daily basis. So we are going to talk about how to get home care website content that generates leads without lifting a finger in most cases. So my name is Valerie Van Boeven. I'm a registered nurse and the co-owner of LTC Expert Publications. On the line with me today, I have George Novison, my business partner. Hi, George.
Hi, Val. Hi, everyone.
And thanks for joining us. And today we are going to talk about content. This is all about content, the different ways you can get content. And I want to say that I would imagine that most folks who do have a viable, good website with a blog, 90% of their problem is not having time to put good, fresh content on it. And it's such an important part of marketing today. So we're going to talk about how to get that done. So just want to say one more thing about today's webinar. We will take questions. Questions will be at the end of the webinar. So what you want to do, because we have so many people that sign up for these, we don't open up the audio, but you can go ahead and put your question in the little dashboard or the little control panel that you have anytime. And what we'll do is at the end, I'll go down the list, first come, first serve. So the first person who has a question, no matter when you put it in, you'll get answered first, and we'll go from there. So that's always a very fun part of the webinar. So if you can stick around for that, that's great. We are recording this webinar, and we will send out the replay to all of you, and you're welcome to share it with anyone you like. So on our agenda today, as you read in the description, we're going to learn how SEO works today versus how it used to work. SEO, it means search engine optimization. We're going to learn how to get great content for your current home care website that generates leads without lifting a finger. Learn the style of content that converts new clients into paying customers. Learn how much content you need each month to get better visibility locally. Learn why you may not need a new website. You might just need better content. And for all of you who are franchise owners, we'll have a little section on learn how a branded franchise website can work better with unique content. And finally, learn how an e-newsletter generates more leads and it's not irritating to the reader. So we're going to go through all of those in kind of a quick fashion, but again, I'm recording this and you will all receive the replay if you miss anything. But please ask questions. Type them in as we go. Okay, SEO today versus yesterday. Content requirements for Google have changed dramatically over the last year. In fact, they change quite a bit over time. And it's not so much the content requirements, but more the algorithms that change. So it used to be that Google would stress to use keyword phrases. So in our case, for all of you in the home care market, it would stress to us that we needed to use the words, like if your home care agency was located in St. Louis, Home Care St. Louis, Elder Care St. Louis, Senior Care St. Louis, Caregiver St. Louis. All those words were really important, and they still are important, but it's really easy to over-optimize now, and you have to keep that to a minimum so it doesn't look fake to Google. Now, Google is all about engagement. Google wants to see people looking at your content, people staying on your website and not clicking away. They want to see people liking your stuff on Facebook, liking your stuff on LinkedIn, liking your stuff or retweeting or favoriting or whatever you call it on Twitter. They want to see on Google Plus that people are giving you a thumbs up, or I guess I should say a +1 because Facebook is the thumbs up. So they want to see social signals, meaning that people who see and read your content are liking it, and they are wanting to know more about you. They're clicking to your website. They're engaging with you. So now it's all about engagement. This means that you need more engaging, unique content than ever before. So it can't be spammy. It can't be, nonsensical. It can't be yucky content. It has to be something that makes sense to your reader. And we'll talk about who that is in just a second. And no more over-optimizing. So in other words, saying the words Home Care St. Louis 20 times in an article has been not the way to do things for a very long time. But even saying it one time too many can really hurt you. So we want to make sure that when we're talking to folks, when we're titling content, when we're putting things on your website or your blog, that they make sense to the reader more so than they make sense to Google, and then just lacing in there very finely some mentions of your location and the area that you service. Google will get it, but more importantly, we want your reader to enjoy what they're reading. So that's really the object of the game for Google, and that's what we do for a living every single day here at LTC Expert Publications. It's a fine line, and you have to know kind of how to work that balancing act. So what about the style of content that really helps convert leads? Now, there are lots of different ways to convert leads with content. But I'm going to talk about some style and some issues that go along with content so that you know exactly what your reader's looking for and you know what Google's looking for at the same time. So first of all, we just talked about engagement. Your content can't be too boring. Now, there are only so many ways, and my second bullet point says, can home care related content really be exciting or engaging? If you stick with medical descriptions all the time, it will not be exciting and engaging. But you can make home care content exciting and engaging to the person reading it because, let's just use this analogy. If someone is in a crisis, they have an aging parent who is not doing well at home, they know that either nursing home, assisted living, or in-home care might be one of the next steps. They are anxious about that. They are worried about that. They want to know if home care is a solution. So to that person, to your audience who's overwhelmed and ready for a solution to their elder care problem, your content really is very engaging to them. They do want to know what their family caregiver solutions can be. To a 23-year-old who has no point of reference, your content is not exciting or engaging. They have not gotten to that place yet. For us, our audience, even though a majority of people or young folks are not going to believe that caregivers needing a break is a great piece of content, for those of us who are caregivers for an aging parent, it is absolutely a great piece of content as long as it's written well and it's something that we're interested in. So the other piece that you have to understand is that content cannot be copied from other websites or sources. It must be unique. So just because you like that blog post on the New York Times doesn't mean you can just copy it and paste it into your blog and have that be okay. It's not okay. It's duplicate content. It's going to be indexed on the New York Times website. It will not be re-indexed and accredited to your website. It's considered duplicate content in the eyes of Google, not to mention the copyright infringements and all of that. So you cannot copy content from other sources. If you have if you've hired or outsourced your content needs, whether you're a big franchise or you're a single home care agency, and you run your content through Copyscape, copyscape.com, if you go there and you copy and paste your content in there, you will be able to tell if it's been copied or not from other websites. And I guarantee you that if you're not paying attention, sometimes it will be. So you have to really be careful. So here are some other things that we use for content that really make the stories or the blog posts more engaging. We use stories, relatable stories. So they're not true stories necessarily, but they're examples of how one family solved their elder care issues, or how a daughter or a son or a niece or a nephew helped their aging adult relative. So stories about caregiving resonate really well with your audience because they want to know that they're not alone, that they're not the only person out there who's dealing with this. And that comes to examples of caregiving solutions. Maybe a couple of stories within an article, small short examples of how someone solved an issue with elder care, or some specific thing in the house that was driving them crazy and they solved that problem with their aging adult. So examples and stories are always great. We also mix it up and we use fun content. We don't use content that makes fun of people. We use content that is fun for the family. So instead of talking about, incessantly talking about incontinence issues or something like that, it's often fun to talk about, especially around holidays and other times of the year, about maybe crafts that are good to kind of engage both the grandparents and the grandchildren together, or recipes, maybe like a warm easy to make recipe for a cold winter day, or maybe a nice, cool, refreshing recipe for a hot summer day. You know, these are the things that we can do with our seniors that kind of mixes up the day a little bit, makes it more fun, and doesn't, whether it be a craft or a recipe or something like that, or maybe a fun place to go to visit, something like that. So there's always an opportunity to mix it up. You don't have to talk about what Parkinson's disease is and what Alzheimer's disease is and just go through the litany of disease processes. Sometimes it's nice to really mix it up and talk about the fun stuff with elder care. And of course, then we also do have serious issues that come into play. You know, again, the dealing with the Parkinson's and the Alzheimer's and the memory loss and, you know, things like that that come around with elder care. It's always good to mix those in a little bit. And then there's always celebrations. So, for instance, in the healthcare world, there are celebrations of this month. We have Mother's Day. May is also Older Americans Month. And there's all kinds of other things in May. May is a heavy month for healthcare celebrations and for general celebrations, graduations and events and things like that. So there are often things that you can talk about that relate to the time of the year, celebrations and monthly observances. And then, of course, pictures are always good. And that could be pictures of your staff, pictures of yourself, pictures of someone winning an award. It could be, you know, with permissions and with having all the right permissions, a picture of a caregiver with a senior that's been with you all for a long time. There are lots and lots of styles that you can use to mix it up, so you don't have to talk about the same thing over and over again. So here are the Google rules and the reader rules. First of all, Google wants to see 400 to 500 words of text. In order for Google to index a page on your website, whether that's an article, blog post, or even a static page that never changes, in order for Google to index it and to be aware of it, it has to have a certain amount of text on it. And so that's 400 to 500 words. That's what Google tells us is the minimum. So you can't put a PDF brochure or flyer on your website as a blog post and think that anything's going to happen with that. Google can't read that, and sometimes the people that are looking at your website can't open them. So it depends on how web savvy the reader is, and some of them are not web savvy, or they might be on their smartphone and it might not work or whatever. So you always want to make sure that for any picture, PDF, or anything else that you put on your website, you preface it with a description. Even though it's repetitive, you want to put a description in there with it. I say 100% unique. All your content should be 100% unique. % unique is okay. So minimum of 75% unique, but we always go for 100% unique on content. We never, ever, ever want to find our articles posted on another site. It's not to say that people don't make mistakes sometimes, but we would never, ever take one article and disperse it to 500 blogs. That does not make sense. So if you are in a home care franchise situation and you have someone in your franchise who's taking content and maybe repurposing it and putting it on all of your blogs all across the country because it's interesting or whatever, it's not doing anyone any good. It's a complete loss. Because it's only going to be indexed one time. It's not going to help the rest of the masses. It will only do good for the corporate office. After that, once it's indexed, you can put it on all the sites you want. You can go out to Facebook as many times as you want. You might get some readership there, but it is not unique, and therefore it is not helpful. Okay, Google wants to see photos because that helps with engagement. So anytime you can make sure a photo is included, that will help tremendously. You also want to have an author with your content. So if you are posting to your own blog, if the author is admin, that is not okay. It needs to be you. It needs to be the face of the company. It needs to be someone other than admin should be the author of the content. And the reason we say that is that anyone can post an article, even a spammy article, and they don't pay attention to whose name is on that article, so they just post it as admin. What Google wants to see, even though Google authorship is no longer a real program, I guess, at Google, Google still wants to see that there is a person's name or face and name next to that content, someone who's saying, yeah, you know what, I posted this, I claim this, it's mine, I think it's important, and I want people to read it. So you want to make sure you set up whoever your blog is, by. You want to set up a little bio, picture, stuff like that. Call to action. You should always make sure that in the content that you're posting, at the end of the content or in the middle somewhere or wherever you want to put it, that you have a call to action. And what that means is someone reads the entire article, and at the end you say something like this. If you are an aging loved one or considering home care services in the St. Louis area, please be sure and call ABC Home Care today at 222-222-2222 or whatever. So you want to give your little one-sentence commercial at the very end of all the content. That gives you a chance to mention the city and state, so you're not over spamming with SEO. You're just simply giving a statement at the end that gives people the okay to give you a call if they're having issues with elder care. And then, of course, search engine optimize without overdoing it. There are certain places within the text that you can put locations or maybe a heading or something like that, and you're not overdoing it. So that is okay. We know exactly what that formula is. It does change from time to time, and we change our practices as the formulas change, but we have that formula down, and we know exactly where the SEO should go and how to minimize it so it doesn't over-optimize your blog post or your website. So how much is enough? We get that question a lot. How much content is really enough on a monthly basis, weekly basis? Well, the first answer is you can never have too much content. And I want to preface that by saying you can never have too much quality content. Putting spammy, weird stuff on your blog is never helpful. But if you have quality content and it's great and it's engaging and you have somebody working on this 24 hours a day, it is fabulous to have as much content as you want as long as it makes sense. Realistically, most of our clients get one unique blog post per week, and that is a minimum. So they're getting content about 4 times per month. We encourage our clients, on top of what we do for them, to also post some company news once a week if they can. So they're usually getting anywhere between 1 and 2 posts per week. Ideally, in an ideal world, if we were all perfect and had plenty of time divided into sections, we would have blog posts going up 3 times per week. And if you're super fabulous, you would have 1 per day, Monday through Friday. You'd have a new blog post of engaging content going up on your blog. Because remember, it's important to know that your content's not just going up on your blog. Your content should be going out to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Pinterest, and other social media venues. So whenever I say that you have 1 blog post per week, that's 1 time you're hitting your social media. If you are putting up a blog post every single day, Monday through Friday, that's 5 times a week you're hitting social media with something new, and that is super fabulous. And super crazy fabulous is 1 blog post per day and 2 additional Facebook posts, or maybe 3, photos, quotes, memes that go straight to Facebook that don't go through your blog per day. So if you have someone and you're able to hire someone and all they do all day long is post content and get on your social media, then man, oh man, I wish I could afford to hire somebody to do that every single day, all day long. And some companies can. But for the most part, what we want to have happen is we want you to have great, engaging articles that go to your website first and then are dispersed out to all of your social media automatically with pictures, and that is exactly the way this should go down. Posting directly to Facebook is okay, but it's not going to help your website, and it's not going to help Twitter or LinkedIn or any of those other places. So you want to make sure that your website is the hub for everything, and all your content goes through your website. It helps your website show up locally, it helps it get more engagement in the eyes of Google, and it helps your social media. Website is the hub for everything. Okay, so then the question we get a lot of times is, do I need a new website or do I just need a lot of content? And there are some questions you have to answer in order to know if you need a website or not. First of all, and I didn't put this one in there, but if your website is straight HTML and it's not WordPress, Joomla, or another CMS, content management system, then you probably need a new website. I would never have a website built in HTML today unless it was gigantic and something that was insane, and most of you don't have that need. So here are the basics. If your website is 2 years old or older, you probably at least need an update of your current website. Because technologies get old, we've gone to a mobile environment. April 21st was the drop dead date for the Google mobile update. So if your website is 2 years old or older, and especially if it's not mobile optimized, and you do not need two websites, by the way, you should consider an update. But let's say you have a pretty fresh website, or you're just happy with it and there's no way you're getting something new. You want to make sure you check and see if your website has been penalized by Google for past offenses. And that's kind of hard to do if you're not a web geek like us. We can do it for you, but the best way to know that is if you used to be showing up on the first page of Google and suddenly you're not, there's a good chance that you have some duplicate content sitting out there, or maybe someone bought links that they shouldn't have bought in the past. You can do there's a lot of, I guess we call it forensic work that can be done to get rid of some of that stuff. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you definitely need to see if your website's been penalized. The next question is, do you have blogging capability on your current website? If you don't have a blog, then you have to get one in order to make all this work together nicely. So you want to ask your current web development team, can a blog be added to your current website? If it can, great. If it can't, you might need to have a new website or an update to your current website. And if you meet all these criteria, you don't need an update, you haven't been penalized, and you have blogging capability, and you've got a website that you really like, you might just need excellent content. But you need to make sure you're consistent about it. Posting one blog post will never get you anywhere. So you have to make sure that you have excellent, unique content that is fresh and up to date every single week. So here's my little snippet on franchise owners. If you are a home care franchise owner, or you own any kind of franchise for that matter, there are overcoming the challenges of corporate content that is repeated over and over again on multiple websites and blogs. So you have lots of other franchise owners in your group, and there may be someone out there who's going around and posting the same content to every single blog. And that in of itself is not helpful because it's duplicate content. It's really not going to do anything for you. It might be engaging to your audience, but it's not really going to get you anywhere as far as search engine optimization. So the key to that is no more duplicate content. You should be using unique local content on your website. That goes for everyone. It should be unique and local to you, and it should talk about the communities that you service. So that is the way to go for your unique local content. Okay, so curating content, what is that? Let's talk about what curating means. If you haven't ever heard of that, here's what it means. If you see an article you really like, and I use the example of the New York Times has an old age blog. If you see an article there that you really like and you want to use it, here's the way you curate content. So you see that article, you write up your own message about that content. So let's say 400 words, that's 2 short paragraphs about your thoughts on that article and why you liked it so much. 75% of the words that you use in your article should be unique to you, and you should have written them. 25% of the words that you put in this article that you're creating can be a quote from that original article that you really liked. So you can take a snippet and quote it and make sure it's just a small snippet. Then at the end, you need to source the article or give credit to the person who originally wrote it, a link to their website. And the other piece of this is to never use photos that you do not own, unless you know they're public domain or something like that. But we always encourage folks to buy their own stock photos or use a photo that you took yourself and you know you own it. So examples of websites that use curated content. You've probably all heard of the Drudge Report. That is a completely 100% content curated website. There's nothing unique on that website. It all comes in from other websites around the world. It's sort of an aggregator. It's very famous, and it has Google gives it a lot of value. And notice that it gives it a lot of value not because Drudge or whoever he is put lots of unique content on there, but because the content is so engaging and people click around and read all the news stories that he has up there. And now he gets breaking news. So the Drudge Report has existed and has survived and has excelled based on the engaging information that it contains, not on so much on the fact that he writes the unique content all the time. It is completely curated. Now, you all, being in the home care business, cannot have a website that is just all content from other places that links to other places. That would kill your website. You're just not big enough, and that's not what they're designed for and all this other thing. So you can't really be the Drudge Report of home care in your local area. You could try, but I doubt that you're going to get an audience big enough, in other words, to make it work. But another example, but you can do curated content. You can see an article you like, write comments about it, make 75% of it your own and 25% of it a quote. You can do that and make it engaging and have content that's awesome on your website that Google loves and that your readers love. If you go to homecaredaily.com, you will notice that every article written on there is 100% unique, but it is all curated content. Not all of it, but a lot of it is curated content. So in other words, we didn't, we're not the federal government. So if somebody commits fraud, the FBI has a site and they put up a press release about who's convicted of fraud in home care, whatever. And we take that information, we create an article that's 100% unique except for the quotes that are in the article, and we post that on Home Care Daily. That is called curated content. So the article already exists, or the topic already exists. We're just rewriting it in a way that we believe is more interesting to you all. It might be some good news, it might be some bad news, it might be news about something innovative, but whatever it is, if you run it through Copyscape, you'll see that it's unique to us, but it is about a hot topic in the industry today. So homecaredaily.com is a great example of curated content. Okay? So that's what curating means. Okay, now I'm going to give you a list of 24 types of content you can use. Now, some of these are content you can use on your website, and some of these are content that you would not use on your website, but still 24 ideas of content that you can use. So we just talked about blogs a lot, blogs and blog articles. That is one type of content you can use. E-newsletters. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about e-newsletters at the end. Case studies. You can do your own little mini case study. We do that a lot. Videos. Get yourself mic'd up, get great audio, and do a video. A 2-minute video, 1-minute video, keep it super, super short. No one has an attention span anymore, so you want to make sure your videos are super short. Guest posts. You might have someone in your community who's well-respected or that you like to market with. Write a post that is just for your website, so you can have guests post on your website. Articles posted on your website. To me, that's the same thing as a blog, but you might have other ideas, so you can always have different articles posted on your website. In-person events. So if you're going to an event, if you're hosting an event, if you're you're hosting a team for the Alzheimer's Walk this fall, any of that can be content. White papers. We've written a few white papers ourselves for our websites. You could write one and call it a white paper on the top 5 ways to pay for home care services. Online presentations, just like the ones we're doing now. You might do an online presentation as a hangout, or you might do a webinar or a webcast like we're doing right this second. Research reports. You might do some research into the demographics of your local area and talk about the need for elder care in Indianapolis, Indiana, and how many seniors are there and what their ages are, based on census data. It's really easy to look that stuff up, and you can always put something out there that lets your local community know how much you care. Microsites. Now, those are little mini sites. I would use those probably only in the event that I was going to do Google AdWords. So microsites might not be in your future, but it's certainly a type of content. Infographics. These are becoming super popular. Don't pay thousands of dollars to have an elder care infographic put together. They're not that hard to do. If you click around on the internet, you can find some programs that will let you do those. But those are really cool. People love them. And it's sort of like doing it by the numbers. And you can show the number of elderly or the amount of people you've cared for or whatever. You can do a great infographic on home care. Branded content tools. So anything that you have that's a brochure, a flyer that's branded to you. A mobile app. If you don't already have a mobile app for your home care business, you can have a mobile app for your home care business. You should already have a mobile optimized website and mobile content. So those two things should go together, but you can actually have an application that's specific to home care. eBooks. I don't know if you all know this, but I recently wrote an ebook, and we wrote it with Steve Weiss and George Novison, and it's called Let There Be Leads, and you can buy it on Amazon for $5.99. Super easy, super, super easy. It's stuff that we know about, stuff that we do every single day. So to put a book together that's 150 pages on a Kindle, or you can read it on your PC or your phone, it's not hard to do. It just takes a little bit of organization. It took us about, I don't know, maybe 8 weeks to put it together, just working on it part-time, and it turns out really nice. You don't have to sell them. You can just give them away in a PDF format, and those are really popular. You could do a print magazine or be in a print magazine, although I do not recommend advertising, but writing an article for a print magazine would be great. You can write your own book if you want to. Podcasts. We have a lot of podcast listeners. You may have a lot of podcast listeners too if you are consistent about it. Digital magazines. Some folks get into the digital magazine stuff. I find it to be too cumbersome, so I don't do that. Print newsletters. You might think about not just having an e-newsletter, but also a print version. Annual reports. Some of you may be into that, especially if you have folks that you have to report to. And one of the things they had on here was gaming, and we're not going to be into gaming with our current audience for our home thing that I know are very popular. So you might either talk about or be involved with brain games to keep the memory sharp, and they sell those to seniors all the time. So some things free, some things you can give away, some things that might end up being paid for, but overall there are tons of different ways you can use content. So let's talk about how to write an article for your website or blog. I get this a lot. People who are not writers, I totally understand this is overwhelming. So I'm just going to give you the very basics on how to write an article for your website or blog. Okay, so we're going to use the basic first rule of journalism. You want to go through the 5 W's and the 1 H by making each a question that you will answer. So when you're sitting down to write about the next senior fair that's coming up, or the Alzheimer's Walk this fall, or the Caregiver of the Month Award, you want to answer these questions. Who, what, when, why, where, and how. So let's go through what each of those means. Who. The who is this article about, and or who is the targeted reader. So the who is for the senior fair would be, for instance, who should attend, who is it for, who came last year. There's a lot of who's there. What is going on? What's the main idea of the article? What actions did the who take? So what is it? It's a senior fair. What's going to be there? What kind of vendors? What kind of free giveaways, because that's what everybody's interested in. What kind of speakers? What is going on? What is happening at the event? And of course, where? Where did the event occur? Where is it happening? Is it at an assisted living facility? Is it at a Parks and Recreation place? Is it the Area Agency on Aging? Where is this event? And when is the event? When is the event happening? What are the times? When do you have to be there? Is parking easy? All those kinds of things, the when. And the why. Why should the reader care about this topic? Why should local seniors and their families attend? because it's fun, because they get a lot of freebies, because they learn a lot. Maybe if it's in the fall because they get a flu shot for free, or maybe it's $25 or whatever. But the why should tell them exactly why they should attend. Maybe there's free food or free samples or a great speaker on identity theft for seniors. Why should people come? And then the last one is how. How is used throughout your other questions. For example, if you're writing an article about an upcoming senior fair, the how could be used as how long is the senior fair? How do you get to the senior fair? How important? How is important for filling in the blanks, and it should stem from the natural flow of the article. It can also be used to help explain a complicated process. So if you're writing about something else, maybe it's a recipe. How do you complete this recipe? So all the steps that are involved. So this is pretty easy, the who, what, where, when, why, and how. If you answer each of these questions and you give each one a sentence of its own or maybe 2 sentences, you will easily come up with your 400 words that's required by Google to index the page of your site that you're posting this on. So please think about the who, what, where, when, why, and how. All right, and don't forget, if you want to ask questions, go ahead and put your questions in the little dashboard, and we'll be happy to answer them. So now let's talk about e-newsletters. And people say, ugh, e-newsletters. But I'm going to tell you, and I'll harp on this for the rest of my days, e-newsletters work well. And here is the reason. I want you to think about what I'm going to say here really carefully, because we all get tied up in what we think we should be saying or what we think we should be doing because we have our own personal preferences about stuff. Just remember this, you are not your client and you are not your prospect. So just because you hate e-newsletters or you think they're spam or you think they're a waste of time does not mean that your prospect feels that way. It does not mean that your client feels that way. So keep that in mind. You are not your client. You are not your prospect. So let's think about it like this. When you are in the market to buy a car, and unfortunately all of us have had to go through the hassle factor of buying a car. Some of you may love it. I personally do not. I am not you. So car buying. If I'm in the market to buy a car, I start to notice all the car ads on TV. I start to look at cars on the internet. I start to notice the car ads in my local paper. I start to hear the car ads on the radio because I'm kind of getting into the market. I'm not really there yet. I haven't gone to a lot and looked, but I know that's coming my way. So I'm kind of half paying attention now to those car ads. If I were not in the market to buy a car, like right now I am not in the market to buy a car, I could care less, or I couldn't care less. I could not care less about car ads. I don't see them in the paper. I don't look at them online. I don't hear the ads on the radio. I turn to another station. I do not care about car ads. It's not in my wheelhouse. Same rule applies to elder care. When you have a family who has an aging parent in the hospital or who knows that mom shouldn't be living alone anymore, it is suddenly very much in their wheelhouse. They start paying attention to those ads on TV, those ads on the radio, those e-newsletters from the last senior fair they went to, because kind of last year they kind of thought, well, this is coming, mom's getting older, let's go to a senior fair. They wanted to gather up information from all the vendors. You got their email address. You've been sending them an e-newsletter for a year. Maybe you've even talked to them on the phone once, who knows. But they finally are at a point where they know that this is it, and they've heard your message, and they've received your e-newsletter 6 times, 6 months in a row, and they haven't really done anything with it, but the 7th time that e-newsletter hits their inbox, suddenly it's time to pick up the phone and make a call or hit reply and ask you for help. So don't disregard having a local e-newsletter that has your blog content in it that is made up of stuff that you want to talk about your local community. If you are an independent home care agency owner, this is one of those things that can set you apart and keep you on top of mind for clients and consumers and referral sources across your local area. If you're a franchise owner, you can do this too, but just note that your corporate print or e-newsletter may not be really the ticket. The one that comes from your office with your information on it, with your articles that are unique to you about your office staff and about your adventures in Alzheimer's Walk and your stuff, that is what is engaging to a client. The corporate one is fine, it's full of great content, but it's not. That you should have your own e-newsletter. It should go out every single month without an automated fashion, so you never have to touch it if you don't want to. You should make sure you update the list that it goes to all the time. Add as many email addresses as you can to it. They can always opt out. If you do this, you will see a 10% annual revenue increase just to have a monthly e-newsletter that goes out without fail. And you know, in this current economic environment and the competitiveness of home care these days, that you need every edge. So you do need an e-newsletter, but that starts with having great content. So you got to have great content in order to have a great e-newsletter, and that is really what it all comes back to, is great content. So the question we get also is, can you buy content? So one of my bullet points was, learn how to get great content for your current home care website that generates leads without lifting a finger. Now, I've showed you a bunch of ways you can get content. Some of them, or majority of them, probably require you to lift a finger. But having guest posts and doing some of these other things do not require you to lift a finger. So, wrong way. So we're going to talk about buying content, what you can and cannot do. And don't forget to type your questions in on the little dashboard if you have any questions as we go here. I will answer all the questions at the end of the webinar. So here are some buying rules, and this is what we've learned. First of all, if you are going to do this adventure by yourself of buying content, you need to be aware of some things. And at LTC Expert Publications, we do this every single day. So we've learned a lot, and you should learn from, from what we've learned. In the home care market in the United States of America and in Canada, you should only use U.S. or Canadian-based writers. You cannot use people who live in India, the Philippines, Germany, Pakistan. That is not okay because they do not understand the U.S. healthcare system, what's okay to do, what's not okay to do, what Medicare pays for, what Medicare does not pay for. And they, in other countries, often use British English, which does not translate well when someone is reading your United States blog. So they must understand the U.S. healthcare system. So that is the two top considerations for us. We have 15 additional rules that they must follow. One example. They cannot write articles that have to do with administering medications. Now, 90% of our clients are private duty home care agencies, and that is a no, no, no. We do have several clients, many actually, that are home health care, and that is okay, but we don't even want to go there. So that's one of our rules. So we actually have 15 rules that the writers have to follow. And then I want to warn you, because we've used them all, be careful on freelance sites. Now, we have a suite of writers that we use that are specific to us now, but when we first started down this road, we used a lot of freelance writers. And I would tell you to be very careful. People are not who they seem. So even though her name is Mary Jane Smith, and she lives in Nebraska, and she's on Elance or someone like that, it still might be somebody in India who's posing as someone in the United States of America. So you want to make sure you look at their samples, require samples, really read their content, because if it sounds to you like it doesn't make sense or it's written in broken English, I guarantee you they are not from the United States. And they can fool the system pretty easily. So please be careful there. You will waste your money. Okay. So here's what we do. We buy 700 articles per month. Now, when I say buy, we actually have a team of writers. We have 8, 9, 10, maybe 10 writers total. And there are a couple that are specific to us that write the majority of our content. But they can't write all of it. That's humanly impossible. So we have 2 that are our big favorites. That write a majority of it, and then we have a team of writers through a certain program that we use that are specific to us that write our content every week. They have been vetted. They have been tested. They meet all kinds of criteria. So anyway, we have 700 articles written a month, all home care, elder care, senior care, nothing else. And they're all pretty good. Now, occasionally we'll find a typo here or there, but that's why we have client managers who QA the content. They are all 100% unique. They are all elder care, senior care, home care, caregiving related. Again, all written by vetted professionals, and you can have our content with zero hassle factor. So we're happy to let you have our content if you want it. You can have it. You can buy it, actually. But we've done all the digging. We've made all the mistakes. We know exactly what kind of content a home care agency needs. We know exactly what kind of home care content is going to convert into clients, and we know exactly how to post it on websites. So you can take our content, please. If you wanted to get content from us, and this is generic articles, and there's two different kinds of articles that we write. We write generic articles, meaning senior care, elder care, home care. So this is how you do it without lifting a finger. If you want those from us, you can have 4 generic articles per month. If you want no SEO and you do not want us to post it, you just want us to send you 4 Word documents every month for you to take care of yourself, that's $200 per month. That means that we do nothing but make sure that they're edited and they're clean. If you do want local SEO, meaning you want your towns in there and you want it to reflect where your service area is, which is what most people want, then we'll do 4 articles for $295 per month. We will post, doesn't matter to us, but we'll take care of all of it if you want us to, 4 times a month. And then for custom articles, custom means that you are dictating what you want written. You are telling us what themes you want, what kind of content you want. You are telling us you're requesting a certain kind of article because you specialize in Alzheimer's care or whatever. When you start wanting us to tell our writers exactly how to write their article or which topics to write them on, then that becomes a custom article. If you do not want local SEO, you do not want us to post it for you, you just want 4 Word documents per month from us, that's $250 for custom articles. That means you're dictating what the content is about. And then if you do want us to post it for you and you do want us to make it local to you, and you do want it to be custom, then that's $350 per month. We'll do all of that for you. So our most popular programs are the $200 and the $295. Most often $295, generic, great content still, but generic 4 times a month. And we post it. So that is usually our best seller. So if you have any interest in that, you are welcome to contact us, and we will forward you all the information. So now we're going to take questions. I'm going to look at my little questions dashboard and answer some questions. If you want to know more about the content provisioning and the pricing and all that, and we do more than 4 articles a month. That's just a sample. So if you wanted 10 articles a month, 20 articles a month, 500 articles a month, we can make that happen. It doesn't really matter the volume. But you can call us at 888-404-1513. You'll talk to me or you'll talk to George. Or you can just email George directly at george@ltcep.com. And by the way, that's an L, not an I. So it's george@ltcep.com. You can visit our website. LTC Social Mark is our main website. And then Healthcare Content Pros is our other one. We put that up there just for the content piece. So you can look at either of those websites if you want. I am going to answer some questions. George, while I'm getting ready to answer questions, did I miss anything?
No, I mean, I thought you covered everything. The idea of just looking at content is important to companies that have all their other stuff in play and in place. Their website's in great shape, and they've got their social media in place, and content, which is, you know, the tough part and the part that takes all the labor. That's the open issue that they have and the hurdle they have to cover. So I think that's what the main point that you covered was, and that a method to do it. So.
Okay, well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is your out. If you do not have time for content, you don't need a website, you don't need anything else. You just want us to provide that content. This is an easy, fast solution to get you where you need to be. So I'm going to answer a few questions here, and if you have one, just type it in. Can I get a copy of the slides, please? Gloria, we do not give out copies of our slides for our presentation, but I will send you a link to SlideShare where you can view them, and you can also rewatch this video. I will send out a replay of the whole video. If I don't have the time to blog, what other content will increase SEO? We have created resource pages and local event links. Is there anything else you could recommend? SEO, Lisa, the best solution is the content provisioning. I mean, there really isn't anything else that is what Google's looking for is unique content consistently on your website every single week or every single month. It comes by and it reindexes a website that has unique content, that has updated their website. If all you have is a static website, no matter what kind of pages and things you put on there, once it's indexed at once, it doesn't need to reindex those pages again unless they've changed or that you've added something new. So the object of the game is to have as much new, fresh content as you can all the time. Is GoDaddy an okay environment in which to build a site? Can GoDaddy handle mobilizing? Betsy, you can host a website on GoDaddy, and if it's a WordPress website and you choose a theme that is mobile optimized, then yes, it will be a mobile website hosted on GoDaddy. GoDaddy, you know, if you do the Build It Tonight or whatever that thing is, that Build It Yourself website, not a fan of that, wouldn't do it. But again, we build everything from scratch. So I would definitely, you can host it there, that's not a problem at all, but you probably need to make sure you have a WordPress website. Next question, my website is from my franchise. I really don't have control over it, so how can I manage this SEO and have it count? If you don't have control of your website, the answer is, do you have a way to blog on your website? If you do have a way to blog on your website, then you need to get the content, either create it yourself, like I just went through the whole presentation, or you can buy it from someone who does it all the time, like us, and we will make sure you have fresh content on your website every single week. But you have to have a blogging capability. Now, for those of you who will not change your website and will never have blogging capability, if you want us to set up a blog, we will happily set up a simple blog for you, not a full-blown website. We've done that for people in the past. There's a fee for that blog setup, but George can discuss that with you. And that has happened. We do have some franchises that will never, ever, ever in a million years let you blog post, but they're okay with you having a separate blog that is created on WordPress as long as it's branded correctly, and we have done that. Deborah asks, what is an infographic? Well, Deborah, I could do a whole webinar on infographics. It's a pretty cool thing, so I'm going to let you Google that. If you Google infographic, you'll be able to see lots of examples of infographics. I hate to cut that short, but it's a long dissertation. It's like a picture of statistics. It simplifies a process or something like that. Are we able to edit articles with SEO ourselves, or do we get an editable document? Okay, so when we provide content, we provide it in a Word document, so you are welcome to edit it yourself. If we are posting it to your website, you have two choices. We can post it and save it as a draft. You can go in and approve it and make it live, or we can just go ahead and make it live. We're pretty good at editing stuff ourselves, and we're also pretty good at doing the SEO ourselves. So you don't really have to worry about that, but if you want it just in a Word document, you can have at it and do whatever you want with it, and you can post it on your own. Let's see. What format should we use to send an e-newsletter? Lisa, you send out an e-newsletter every Friday at 11 o'clock via MailChimp, and you've got that covered, babe. I know you, and I know what happens. You don't need to do a PDF. No, just your MailChimp newsletter goes out every week at 11 o'clock on Friday. You're good. Betsy, can I hire your firm for an assessment of our digital life and recommendations but not implementation? George, I think we can handle that. I think we could probably do a consultation, tell them where they stand, and let them decide what they want to do with that. Okay, Jennifer says, I too am a corporate franchisee and I'm battling a subdomain issue where most content is routed through the main corporate site. We plug original content wherever we can, but it feels like an uphill battle. Jennifer. Jennifer, if you let us know more about who you are and which franchise you're with, we've worked with almost all of them, and we're happy to let you know what we've found out and what we know about your websites and what we can do to help, or you can do for yourself to help yourself. You just have to email George and let him know who you are. Okay? When you say you will post to social media, are you reposting the same blog from the website, or are you providing a link on, say, Facebook to the website blog? Okay, Dan, so here's how it works. We post an original piece of content on your blog. It's an article. It's an original article. What we do is we set up what's called a feed. We send that article, once it goes live on your website, boom, it goes straight to Facebook. There is a title, a picture, and then there's a link to that article, a little summary. And that's the piece that hits Facebook, the summary. And then if people click on that link, they go straight back to your website to view the entire article. That is not duplicating content. That is the way it's supposed to work. And I hope that answered your question. We have 2 subdomain websites. So in addition to trying to create original content from corporate site, we have to differentiate between our 2 sites. Any tips for this double trouble? Hey, Jennifer. Yeah, we've worked with your franchise many times. So if you help us by emailing us privately, we can answer your questions better. But yes, we've worked with your franchise before, and we know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, MailChimp versus Constant Contact, your opinion. Okay, Betsy, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say MailChimp would be my first choice because it's cheaper. You don't need all that HTML and all that junk that Constant Contact throws in there, and it can be very expensive on Constant Contact, but you have to make sure your list is clean. MailChimp is very strict on its policies. If MailChimp doesn't work for you, the next step after that would be Campaign Monitor, which is one of the ones we've changed to when MailChimp goes crazy with their little omnivore issues they have right now. So I do not use Constant Contact unless I think we have one client that uses it, and that's it. I do not recommend it ever, not because I don't like it, not because I don't think it's pretty, I do. But you want to set up an automated newsletter. There's only 2 services that I know of that do that and do it well, and that's MailChimp and CampaignMonitor.com. So are your generic articles used by more than just my office? In other words, does a generic article that you wrote get used by me and 5 of your other clients? No, Joe. I don't know how I could stress this any more. Generic content is never, ever duplicate content. We do not provide duplicate content. We provide every single person who gets content from us gets their own unique articles. It doesn't matter whether you have, you know, it's always unique. So if it's a generic article, that doesn't mean that we give it to a lot of people. That means you're the only person that gets that generic article. It's unique to you and you only.
You know, Val, generic might be a poor term in terms of it's LTCP directed versus the client directed article. The custom articles where the clients give us guidance, and
right.
The generic articles are we kind of set the pace and the editorial plan of what content's going to to be delivered.
Yeah,
and so maybe it's a better term than self-directed versus directed by us versus generic.
Yeah. Elder care, senior care, caregiving, those kind of articles are considered generic to us. They're ones we write all day long, but all of them are 100% unique, Joe. And custom content means that you are telling us what subject matters you want written on, you want us to write on. So Alzheimer's is your focus, or memory loss, or brain games, or maybe it's incontinence, or maybe you want something on Parkinson's and mobility issues because that's your focus. So That's how, that's what custom means. So yeah, you're right. Maybe we need to change our terminology, but no matter what you choose, it's always 100% unique to you. Okay. Can you explain again what it means when you local SEO the content for my use? Yes, Dan, if you want us to make sure that your content is search engine optimized for your local area, when you sign up with us, we ask you for a list of your service areas, and when we write the content and we have the content sent to you, we make sure that that local SEO is included in your article so that when you post it or when we post it, then it has better effect for your local. So if you serve the St. Louis area, for example, if you got a generic article from a percent unique to you, but it does not, if you choose for us not to SEO the article, that means that it's just a generic elder care article, even though it's unique, but it doesn't mention that you're in St. Louis anywhere. If you ask for us to do the local search engine optimization of the article, then we will make sure that in certain key places it talks about your service area and in your local area, your towns that you service, and put your call to action and a phone number at the bottom. So that's how we search engine optimize your content, and then we can give it to you or we can post it for you. So that's why there's a difference, because we have to take the time to rewrite parts of the article to make sure we're not over-optimizing and we're not under-optimizing. Okay, and let me know if that didn't answer, but I think that's what you're asking. Do your generic articles follow a monthly and timely editorial calendar? Yes, Jennifer. Some of our generic articles are really generic, just elder care, home care, assisted living in general. But we always follow all, like for instance, I use May as an example. We're always doing articles on, May is Older Americans Month, May is Blood Pressure Awareness Month or High Blood Pressure Awareness Month. May is, Mother's Day. So we're constantly having those types of articles written. So yes, we follow an editorial calendar. It's not strict by any stretch of the imagination. For instance, August is very low in healthcare celebrations. There aren't many. So it gets a little more generic during months like that. But that's, yes, we follow an editorial calendar. We stay like for instance, if you're located in Florida, we don't post content even on the generic side that is about, getting frostbite in the winter. That doesn't apply to you, so we don't send you content. We use our brains most of the time for, to keep it real and make sure we're addressing issues that happen in your area, but we don't, like weather, basically, and time of year, but we certainly do follow a bit of an editorial calendar. Okay, can you use other sites' brain games on your own site? Yes, you can, I guess. I don't know what that means exactly. I think, Lisa, we'll talk privately about that. What if I have multiple clients to design for? Can I use the same image and content for their Facebook and Instagram posts? What if I have multiple clients to design for? Can I use the same image and content for their Facebook and Instagram posts? Ashley, I think you can, but I'm not sure if I understand the question. If you have a specific design question, then maybe you should email us privately about that. But yeah, I don't see a problem there. Wouldn't it be like creating a spotlight toward the hashtags? Again, Ashley, I think you might be a developer, so you probably need to email us directly. I see a lot of SEO firms that will only do content creation, or they say SEO management, for a minimum fixed length contract. One guy told me a year and barely let me talk him down to 9 months. I want to be able to use something like this, but I need the flexibility to be able to cancel if it's not working. Is your agreement month to month and pay as you go? It is to a certain extent, Joe, but we certainly have we'd like you to stay with us for a certain amount of time. And George, how did we write up the contracts for content only? Is it 3 months and 6 months?
I'm Sorry,
I think you might be muted.
I hate to make
It's okay.
Here's the deal. If it, well, repeat the question again, just to make sure I get it right.
Okay. A lot of SEO firms require like a year to 9 months. He wants to know if he can do this month to month.
Yeah, we would suggest a minimum of 2 months because it's just the process of getting to know you, and there is some feedback on content where we make adjustments and the like. So, you know, we don't, after the first 2 months, it would be just month to month, 30-day notice, basically. That's for our content-only program. When it comes to when we're setting up a complete publishing program, like setting up authors and things like that, then you know, we have a setup fee that takes into account. So that program is only month to month because there is a setup fee.
Right. It's different when somebody's getting a complete SEO program, which really is, in our case, very comprehensive. There's a lot that goes into it. That has a minimum requirement. But if it's just buying content, I would say you need to stick with something with some consistency. 2 months is a minimum. We don't force the issue. We certainly don't want unhappy clients that still have to pay a bill from us. But, you know, we certainly would recommend that you stay with something for a little while just to make sure it works okay. It's going to take 2 months just for Google to reindex all of your information on your website. So that's kind of why. My client needs 1 unique article per month. How much would that be? Actually, we don't do 1 unique article per month. We do a minimum of 4 per month. We post across 5 social media platforms Monday through Friday. Is it more important to have 5 topics each day or vary the way the content is written and the way it is presented? We post across 5 social media platforms Monday through Friday. Is it more important to have 5 topics each day or vary the way the content is written and the way it is presented? If you're posting 1 time on 5 social media platforms, it can be the same topic, and each day it should probably vary each day. That's a lot of work. So you would have 5 topics. I'm going to have 5 topics each day. No, not 5 topics each day, but 5 topics each week, yes. So 1 topic per day on 5 different platforms is fine. That's plenty. That's way plenty. Great job. How much is 4 per month? I forgot the slide you showed. Oh, Ashley. There you go, babe. Okay, so if you want 4 generic articles, you don't want us to do anything to them, it's $200 per month. And if you want 4 generic articles and you do want us to do the local SEO and the posting, it's $295 per month. If you want custom articles, meaning you dictate what they're written about, then the price goes up a little bit. But all of them are unique. Okay, Joe, would your firm take over control of doing an email newsletter from start to finish? Pricing, Fred. I don't know what the keyword Fred means, but I'm sure, yes, we would absolutely set up a MailChimp account for you for a fee and make sure it's set up as long as you have a blog feed. If you have a newsletter that you want to have go out and is not automatic and you want us to do it for you every single month, yes, we can talk about doing that for you. But yes, we can do that. That's not what this is necessarily about, but if you email George, we will talk to you about setting up a custom newsletter and making sure it's going out for you each and every month. Absolutely. Fred. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions for me or George about content, how to get content, where to get content, how much content you need, anything about your website? This is all about getting leads and engagement for your website. So what that means is you have to be consistent. You have to do it for a while. You can't give up. You have to make sure you have unique, engaging content on your website every single week without fail, preferably more than once a week. And I think that's all the questions that we have. So if you have any more personal kind of questions or specific to you kind of questions and you need our help, please, please, please email George at ltcep.com or call us at 888-404-1513, and we will help you. We are very flexible, and we know content is really, really difficult, but we absolutely will get you there. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, George, and we'll talk to everybody again soon. Bye-bye.